Welcome back to Buddha Bites. This is episode 22, and I'm Iris Fairfax. I'm about to try to blow your mind two different ways. Way number one, have you ever heard of corn ice cream? Neither had I. I ended up seeing corn ice cream on another person's cooking show, and I wanted to try it for myself. Way number two, did you know that you can make ice cream without an ice cream maker? I have developed a no-churn corn ice cream recipe. I'm about to show you my secrets. Let's go in the kitchen. So we're going to start out with 2 ears of fresh corn. I have not tried this yet with canned corn. If you try it with canned corn, let me know how it went. But this is easy enough to get. I actually went to the store yesterday and got 2 of these packages for $7. So I am going to show you an easy way to cut down corn, because usually corn, you slice it and the kernels go all over the place. I'm going to use a small knife, and I put it in a bowl with another bowl upside down, and very carefully I'm just going to saw through this way. You don't even have to worry. I mean, you're going to actually lose maybe a kernel or two, but this keeps all the kernels reasonably contained. And the small knife is so that you have more room to cut. Now, I want to show you something. I thought that I was going to make my life easier by getting taken in by the internet, and I bought one of these things. It's called a corn stripper, I think. Seems like a good enough idea, but I actually found that it didn't give me decent leverage because my hand was so far away from the business. It ended up sort of creating more work for me, and I don't know if you can hear this, but I know that we've stripped off most of the corn, but it really wasn't that effective. So my advice to you, save your money. You don't need to buy this. So away it goes, and away this goes. Now, we use 2 of these small ears of corn, and I've already stripped another one. And what I like to do, you don't necessarily have to do this, is to break the cob in half, and I'm going to put the rest of this corn in here. Along with 2 cups of heavy cream. Now you're going to discover that this particular recipe essentially comes down to just 3 ingredients. 3. And you could actually add a few more. I'm going to add a couple more, but this is the basis of it all. So we're going to take this, we're going to move it over to the stove, and we are going to heat this until it comes to a slight simmer. What you want is for the corn to infuse into the cream and make a nice, well, it's not going to really be a custard because it doesn't have the custard ingredients, but this is going to infuse down, and in fact, we will heat it up until it has simmered a little bit, and then we're going to cool it to room temperature. So I already did one. This is what we end up with. So this is actually cool to the touch. You want it to be cool to the touch before you do anything else with it. Now I'm going to take this back over to my cutting board. We'll get rid of this for now. And we will move over my stand mixer. You can use a stand mixer. You can also use a food processor. I love my stand mixer. I worked at a cooking supply store pretty much just to get my discount on this thing. It's worth every penny. Now, before we put this in my mixer, I am going to reach around, take out the cobs. These you do not want to put through even a high-powered mixer like the one that I have. I love this blender. And we're going to take this mixture. In fact, it might be easier if I just take it off of the base for now to do this. And we are going to, of course, I'm a lefty, so this I don't make very easy for anybody who's filming me. But we're going to put our corn mixture, this is again just corn and heavy cream, into my blender. Pop it on down. And we are going to burr this until it's smooth. I generally, if you happen to have a mixer like this, I like to use the smoothie feature. And I just set it like this, and we're going to run it until it's smooth. All right, this should be pretty well pulverized. So I'm going to move it to a sieve, and we're going to strain this through. Now remember that all this is the corn and heavy cream. Now, the first time I tried this ice cream, I actually didn't strain it through such a fine sieve. And what I found was that some of the corn solids came through in the ice cream. And that was a texture that I wasn't crazy about. You'll see how much is left after I do this one quick little strain. Now some people, like my brother-in-law, didn't seem to mind that texture that much, but I wasn't crazy about it. So you want to try to get it through as fine a mesh strainer as you can. And let's get the bottom of it too. And this is where the magic is about to happen. Hang on. So here we have our strained corn mixture, which is very, very smooth. And now I'm going to show you the secret to making a no-churn ice cream. It is sweetened condensed milk. Now, let's not confuse this with evaporated milk, which is another product altogether. This, no. This, yes. I will tell you that I've also seen, I can't even remember where I got this non-dairy sweetened condensed coconut milk, which, I mean, really, we're using heavy cream, so it's sort of like, what's the use? But if you end up using this, I've never used this before. I just bought it out of curiosity. But if you decide to try to do a non-dairy version of this, let me know how it goes in the comments. I'm very curious about this. But you add the sweetened condensed milk directly to the corn mixture. It's an entire can. I think it's 14 ounces. Yes, it is 14 ounces. And you're not going to need to add any additional sugar to this ice cream because sweetened condensed milk, well, the first name is sweetened. So it has all of the sugar. Who knew? This is all of the sugar that you're really going to need, besides the fact that corn itself is sweet. So we have added the sweetened condensed milk. We're going to combine this, and essentially there aren't that many more ingredients to this. We're going to add a little bit of salt because, as we've discussed before, salt brings out the sweetness of anything sweet that you make. And this is totally optional, but I'm going to use a little bit of vanilla because you know me and vanilla. So just a tiny little bit of vanilla bean paste. It just adds a little bit of complexity. I mean, I'm not even going to do a full teaspoon. Just a little glurg. And I think I might switch out to, I think I might use a little bit of a whisk. Although this seems to be working out just fine. You just combine this. In fact, yeah, I'm going to take my little whisk. Where did I put it? I think it is hang tight. There we go. Just gonna ensure that it's combined a little bit better. Nothing fancy. Keep track of how many ingredients we're using. You see, it's not that many. We're gonna set this to the side, and we're gonna use more heavy cream. So this is, I had gotten a quart of heavy cream. I used 2 cups to infuse the corn, and this is the remainder of that quart of heavy cream. Now, I am gonna whisk this. You've seen me whisk before, and you've seen if you've seen any previous episodes, you've seen my handy dandy whisk, which has the little marble in the middle of a basket, which is so cool. And you've seen my sort of a figure 8 that I do. I had previously tried this with a hand mixer, but the thing about the hand mixer, even though it's effective, it ended up spraying cream all over the place. So I find you just take a few moments to do this by hand. It's nice little extra exercise. We're not going to do it all on camera, but it'll come together relatively quickly, especially if you have kept your heavy cream as cold as you possibly can. Make sure that you start out with cold cream, not cold cream, but cold cream. And if you can, also a cold bowl. So we will continue to get this whipped. We're going to stop when maybe stiff peaks form, and I will see you when that happens. All right, so you will see that there are stiff peaks, so I can get rid of the whisk. And we're going to combine our corn mixture slowly with the whipped cream. You don't want to fold it too quickly. Now remember, the whole thing about folding is you literally are folding. You defining what something is by the actual word, where I was taught not to do that in school, but nonetheless, you're going from underneath and you're pulling it up over itself. And we're going to gradually lighten up this mixture without deflating all of that good volume that I worked so hard to develop. So maybe in about 3 steps, that's maybe about another third. And we'll just continue to fold. Really won't take that long. And then once you've folded a decent amount of it in, you don't have to be quite as precious as when you started. So we're going to be a little bit more aggressive as time goes on. And I'm going to put in the final little amount. I love the idea of doing this without an ice cream machine. One of the things about an ice cream machine is that you end up having to chill that bowl that you use in the ice cream maker. You have to chill it in your freezer, and it takes up a lot of room in the freezer for just, one ice cream. And how often are you going to be making ice cream? So the idea really appeals to me. Of course, first of all, because you don't have to buy an ice cream machine if you don't want. And second of all, to save you a little bit of space in your freezer. Now, certainly there are slight differences in the consistency, but I don't think it's, so much so that it's bothersome. So I really, really like this technique that I actually developed after looking at a couple of internet videos. And then I made this my own. Now you could use this concept certainly for another flavor of ice cream, vanilla, strawberry. I just love this concept of corn ice cream because it's so unusual. So that's gotten to a decent consistency, and all of this is going to go into my nice little bowl. In fact, did I actually measure this perfectly? Did I? I think I did. This is so cool. And then there's a little bit for somebody to lick this bowl. I will leave some behind. Doesn't necessarily have to be for the cook. It could be for the camera crew. who deserve it. So this I'm going to cover with some plastic wrap, and it goes into the freezer, preferably for, oh gosh, this is one of those that has the slide cutter. Preferably for, I would say, overnight. You want to give this a fighting chance at setting up. And this is one that I made yesterday. It is bona fide ice cream. Now, what I tend to notice about this particular recipe is this sets up really solidly, which is fine with me, because one of the idiosyncrasies that I find about this sort of a no-churn ice cream is that it also has a tendency to get softer quicker. I actually recorded this for public television, and by the time we took pictures of the ice cream, which I had left out to soften a little bit, it was actually so soft that it was difficult to photograph, because it just kept getting softer and softer and softer. So we definitely want to use our scoop that has been put in hot water. Now this, as you see, has come right out of the freezer. And again, I would just sort of scrape across the surface. It's worth the effort. And then we're going to get this into our serving dish in just a moment. And we have some garnishes for you too. See you in a little bit. I can't tell you how proud I am of this. This is so great. And it looks like it's been churned, doesn't it? But it has not. So the finishing touches are everything. Now, I like a little bit of kosher salt sprinkled on top. I mean, remember that this is corn. This is something that you would have put salt on anyway. So I like that as a nice touch. And it has been popularized to put edible flour sprinkles, so that might be really nice. Maybe just the purple ones, because I am who I am. Or if you want to go multicolored, this has Lisa's and my colors in it, and a few more. Isn't this gorgeous? Now, a couple more options here, the wild card options. So, I am not going to be mad at you if you add popcorn. Wouldn't that be cool? Or if you want to harken back to your sugary cereal days of your childhood, how about some sweetened corn cereal? I mean, I just think, you know, anything that accentuates the fact that you are eating a corn ice cream is the way to go. And this, as I say, you know, if it's too difficult for you to scoop right out of the freezer, you can leave it for a little bit, monitor it closely, and scoop it when you can. But if you scoop it lightly, then you can create these beautiful, perfect little ice cream balls without a great deal of effort. And you're going to do this in the kitchen. You're not going to do this in front of all of your guests anyway. But I am excited to taste this. Oh my gosh. With my little corn pops and popcorn. Let's try it with the popcorn. Oh my gosh. This is so decadent. And it was basically just 3 basic ingredients plus salt. You know, I am really tempted to keep going at this, but I'm going to leave some for my loved ones. Pour myself a nice cup of coffee, right-handed. I am left-handed, so this is the perfect accompaniment. Or if you want to do, say, a cordial of some kind, Frangelico might be nice. Whatever it is that you like to drink. Oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless with this. Try this and let me know what you think about it. If you like what you see, then I'd love it if you would go to the thumbs up this video, share it, subscribe to my channel, and I'd love to hear if you'd have any more ideas of stuff that you'd like for me to try. So, I'm going to dive into this even more. In the meantime, this is Iris Fairfax from Buddha Bites, reminding you that you are the Buddha. See you next time.